Are you wondering how to hide completed tasks in Smartsheet? Well, if that's the case, then you've come to the right place because today I'm going to be walking you through the 4 different options that you have. Now, be sure to watch every single one because you may find that one is more suitable for you and your team and your account than another. So I'm going to start off with the recommended way. Now, as you can see here, we've got some tasks split up into different phases. We've got an assignee column and we've got a status. Now it's the status column that we're going to be leveraging here in this first option. So the recommended way is to simply set up and apply a filter. So to do that, all you need to do is navigate to the top, click Create Filter. We're going to call this completed tasks. We can call it completed tasks excluded. And what we want to do here is we want to select the field status, and we want to put is not equal to, and then put complete. And we're going to press apply. And that will exclude every task that has complete in this column. So that's what you would essentially be doing. You'd be setting up a filter that you can toggle on or off. This is now set up. And you can edit it, of course. You can make some, you could change this to, does not contain complete, that kind of, you've got a few different kind of qualifiers there. But the essence is you set up a filter. So that's the first way, probably the recommended way as well. The second way, and I've seen many clients do this, is what you could do is you could add some rows to the top of the sheet itself, and you could essentially create a new area, such as completed tasks. You would probably bold this and make it a little bit kind of a little bit different, or I should say, bring some attention to it. And then what you would essentially be doing is, let's say this one's complete, is you would essentially be dragging this under here. And as you can see, I've got a couple of issues there, but that's okay. I've allowed that. And then what you would essentially be doing is kind of using the indenting to enable you to toggle on or off. So what you would then be doing is, I'd probably delete this one, is you just be splitting it out. And that would obviously require manual moving, but it is quite effective, especially if you just want to completely remove it from view and you don't want to leverage the filter. So you'd obviously then delete this. So that's the second way. The third way is archiving. So to do this, what you would essentially be doing, and you can do this manually, or you could do this through automation. So what you'd need to do to begin with is you would, I'm just going to save that, is you would set up a new sheet, and I'd probably call it, what we'd probably do to do that, the best way is to make a copy of the initial sheet. So right click on that, and we're going to go save as new, and we're going to call this, instead of copy of, we're going to call it archive of, and we're running out of space. Let me just put that, just because we run out of letters. Press save. And the reason why I'd recommend a copy is because you'll notice that it brings all of the columns in by default, so we don't have to set those all up. Now, you will need to delete everything in here because this is the archive copy, so we don't want any of the existing values, but we have everything set up and in place. So what you would then do is you would go to the initial sheet, and if you wanted to archive manually, you would find the completed task that you want to move. Let's say it's this one, and we would right click on the row, and then we would say move to another sheet, not copy, because we want this removed out. And then we would select archive of how to, the archive sheet we just created, and press OK. So that's going to move it out. And then if we go back into the archive sheet, you'll notice it's now in there. Okay. And what you could even do is you could put something like completed tasks in here. And then everything underneath is going to populate under that heading, if you like. So we're still on the third potential way of hiding completed tasks. This is almost a subset of that third way, and this would be to do kind of archiving automatically. So what you would then do is use automation, and you would create a workflow from, not from template, sorry, automation, create workflow from scratch. And then what you would be doing here is you want the trigger to be when rows are changed, and you want the field to be the status field. So when the status changes to complete, we then want to move rows. So when rows are changed, so when the status column changes to complete, we want the workflow to be when triggered, we want to move rows, and then we want to select a sheet. Now here we need to type in our archive. Oh, it couldn't find that. That's probably because I created this sheet. Sorry, I created the archive. If I refresh, it should work. It basically can't find the sheet yet, and that's because I almost hadn't saved, if you like. So let me just go back into what I just created. So this is one that's been automatically created. So we're going to remove this one. If I go on here now, so we're back to where we were on the creation of the workflow. Now we want to, oh, we didn't save either. Let me just quickly run through that again. Sorry. So when status changes to complete, when triggered, we don't want to alert someone. We want to, oh, sorry, this is really messed up. This is from an existing one. I'm just going to delete this. Let's go again. We're going to automation, create from scratch. When the status changes to complete, we want to move rows. When triggered, select a sheet, archive. So now we select this and we press save. So this is a good automation. We should probably change the name of that to archive when complete as an example. I'm not going to do that for the interest of time, but this will save you having to do it manually. So whenever something goes to complete and we save it, so remember it's this one here, row 7, and if we refresh, it should automatically go to that archive sheet. So it's gone if you noticed what it was before. We can always check the archive sheet to check. It is now in there. It was the Jenny Williams one. So excellent, that's a third way. So the fourth way to hide completed tasks would be to create a report. Now this is useful if you want to build to bring it through onto a dashboard. So to do that, you would right click in your workspace that you want to keep this this report in. We would click report. I'd call it something like non-completed tasks. And then we're going to leave that as row report, press OK, open this up. We're going to, in the source sheet, we need to look for the original file that we want to find the data from. We then just need to pull in the columns. So we're going to get rid of the sheet name. I would literally just bring in everything we had in the original sheet. So we've got the primary, we would need a description. We would probably pull in the status, and then let's have the start and end date as well. So start date, end date. So that's great. We can then obviously do things like this, expand it out. You get the idea. That's in here. But you'll notice the complete are brought in by default, and that's because we need to select the filter. So what we essentially do here would be to select the status field. We would put does not contain complete. Press OK. And it will say this message here, press save, and it's gone. The completed have gone. And then you can use this report going forward, as I say, on a dashboard, or just to view all the tasks that are not completed. Of course, just looking at the formatting here, if you wanted to remove all this, then you could in the underlying source sheet. So just bear that in mind. You could also play around with some of the sorting and grouping and filtering. You could also add another filter, such as status, description. What I would do if I wanted to remove these, as an example, just before we finish, is I would go into something like the original sheet, and I would put something like NA. If you wanted to remove these from that report, you could do that, and then you could literally go into that report. You could go back to the filter. You could say add condition, description does not contain NA. Or you could use another column that's hidden and put this information in if you didn't want it to appear in the description column of your project plan or whatever sheet. Press OK, and it will just remove those out. I didn't do it against launch, but that's what you would do there. So I hope this video is useful. They're the 4 different ways to hide a completed task in Smartsheet. I hope one of them is useful for you and is best for your use case. If this video was useful, please hit the like button. That tells me I should continue recording videos like this, and do consider subscribing to my channel. If you head over to my channel, you'll find an entire playlist on Smartsheet training. So if you're new to the tool, want to learn more about it or get the most out of the functionality, then that is the playlist for you. So with all that said, I hope you have an excellent day.